If you can keep your head when all about you are wearing masks and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when your neighbors doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait for the lockdown to be over, or stop believing in government lies don't deal in lies, or being hated for posting truth on Facebook, and use your intuition to get wise. If you can dream the golden age to come here faster, if you can think for yourself but not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with Trump and avoid disaster, and treat those two just the same, if you can bear to be called a conspiracy theorist, a CIA term to make a trap for fools, or watch long-held beliefs become absurdist and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap from all your crypto and get some gold and not give a toss, and lose your debts and start a new beginning and never breathe a word about it to your boss, if you can force your nerves and courage to speak your voice when it seems they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the strength to face the dawn. If you can talk on YouTube and keep your virtue, or speak your truth without losing the common touch, if neither trolls nor loving friends can hurt you, if all followers count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minutes with 60 seconds worth of meditation in 5D, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a multi-dimensional being. You'll see. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Hello, hello. Mark Attwood here. Adventures in the Cosmic Soup. Ooh. Morning. It is morning for people in the UK and Ireland. It's currently 11:17. Thought I'd start with a bit of poetry. It's interesting watching that back. 3 years old now. Back when I thought it all over by Christmas. Yeah, I did a Substack about why I had the temerity to rewrite Rudyard Kipling's If. Diary of a Conspiracy Theorist.substack.com. Go and have a look at that if you can, because it's good fun. Today, I'm really pleased to be joined by the wonderful Matt Hoy. How you doing, Matt?
How's it going, brother? You good?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Well, yeah, a bit chilly, but but good. Yeah. I mean, I keep chipper. I mean, we both lost a friend a couple of weeks ago, Mike Shinton. That's not nice. But I don't know. I don't believe in death, but it's still a bummer because I really, really like Mike. He was a great guy.
He was. I mean, the thing is, I hadn't known Mike that long, unfortunately, so I feel like I've slightly missed out on his him as a person, you know. And from what I did know in the short time, he was such a warm character. You know, you meet certain people and you just click automatically with certain people. And he was really into his music, which helped me because we had so much in common. And we only actually met face to face 2 or 3 times. The most of the time we were spent texting each other about different types of music and biopics and stuff to watch on YouTube, you know, about the old days in Birmingham specifically. But yeah, he was just such, I mean, it was a real shock when I heard the news, but he was such a lovely man.
He really was. And the last time I saw it, we had a weekend together because we had were you at that meeting in Leicester?
Yeah, you're saying, you studied in that Airbnb, didn't you?
Yeah, we had an extra night, just me and him, and we put on Sound of Freedom and started watching it over a bottle of wine, but then we just started making stupid videos.
But isn't that lovely to have that as a one of your lasting memories, you know?
Yeah.
Good and talking shit, you know what I mean? So,
well, it's just, you know, whenever you meet anybody that stood up in the last 3 years, I mean, he was out on the streets tirelessly with there's a great group of people in Birmingham that have just been out stickering the BBC, doing all the, you know, getting on the microphone. There's a great video of Mike talking to a council officer who's trying to do something, you know, I'm just doing my job. It's just, you know, it takes balls. It takes a lot of balls to have done all of that. And I'm just really grateful
for everything Mike did, because he did it for all of us.
He did. He really did. Yeah. And the thing is, as well, it's a lot of weight to have on your shoulders and a lot of stress to keep doing that day in, day out, and have that mindset, that he had, because some of us, have the capability to turn off regarding certain stuff, but Mike just kind of kept banging at the door, banging at the window. He never stopped, so that had got to have taken its toll on him psychologically as well.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, we've all had our battles. Do you want to explain to the viewers that might not know your story, because it's a really good one?
Yeah, I mean, well, back in 2021 I was fired from Ali Campbell's faction of UB40, simply because I refused to have the jibby jab. See, I did listen.
Yeah. We're on YouTube. Let's keep it. I just do this thing. What's wrong with my arm? There's something wrong with my arm. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. I don't let cunts put needles in it. Oh, I shouldn't. I'm on YouTube. What am I doing? What am I doing?
Been worrying about swearing as well.
It's a bit early in the morning for this. Sorry, mate. I can't help myself.
So I got fired for I just wouldn't go there. One, because all my alarm bells were just firing off left, right, and centre. Two, I was being coerced into it by the management and the artist. And three, the main important reason was that I've already got a pre-existing heart condition, which is atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heartbeat. I've already had 2 cardioversions, and the last cardioversion I had, which, if anybody doesn't know, cardioversion is when your heart is shocked back into rhythm. I was advised to have the flu jab afterwards because I was deemed as vulnerable. Yeah, exactly. And more or less on the evening of having the flu jab, I was taking a shower and a growth came up on my lymph node, like half a tennis ball under my armpit. It was really painful, really, really painful. And over the night, just as it was subsiding, my other half was panicking. She was saying, "You need to get back to the doctor." And I said, "Look, because I've had vaccines before for traveling,
Careful the V.
No, I forgot. Sorry. Yeah. God, this is.
I love vaccines.
Yeah. So look, yeah. I'll pretend I've been muted.
No, just turn into Norman Collier. Do you remember him?
I could do that. So as it subsided, I started to feel really crap, and it threw my heart back out of rhythm again. So there was no way I was touching this again, And they just fired me over text message after 12 years of service. They were saying this is the government guidelines. This is what you've got to do. Otherwise, sorry, you can't work for us anymore. And that was in 2021. And I actually put out a statement, not a nasty statement, on my birthday in 2021, July 3rd, saying that, obviously I'm leaving the band because I won't have the. It's like Peter Butterworth of the Carry On films. That's the best.
Oh, yeah.
Hang
on. I've got to do this. Who was this?
Well, that was Sid James, wasn't it?
No, that was Kenneth Connor.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah.
Sid James was more like, Sid.
They all had their little quirks, didn't they? Even Charles Hawtrey and Kenneth had their little facial mannerisms.
Yeah.
Let's not go down that road because
we'll be here all day.
With that area of comedy. So that was it. I was kind of blindly nice when it first happened, thinking, well, this is the situation. I was a bit peeved, but I put a lovely statement saying what will be, But then the more I thought about it, the more I got pissed off all the way through it, you know what I mean? And then since that point on, I've just made it my mission to get my own back and make people aware. And then when all the carers started getting fired over the mandates and all that kind of stuff, it made me even more angry. Because these people, I was in my position for 12 years and I just got
you were in the band for 12 years.
Yeah, touring the world.
And did you have employment rights? Is that how it works with the band like that?
Well, there is employment right because they're all saying that have you signed a contract? You haven't signed any contract, which I never. And most musicians don't sign contracts to be part of the band anyway. But the contract that I do have, the proof is the fact that I've got all the invoices and everything going back 12 years that, you know, they're all made out to UB40's accountants, featuring Ali and Astro before we get sued. Because of the other lot. Yeah, it's just a minefield. So I was really annoyed with all these people, these carers that have been working for 20 odd years. We're just pinned against the fence and going, well, you either take this or you can do one. And I got really angry. And then when I started seeing all the side effects of that even made me even worse, you know.
Well, you were literally given your UB40.
Literally, yeah.
Because for Americans watching this, UB40 is I don't know if it still exists, but it was when I was a kid, it was what you got given if you were unemployed.
That's right. Yeah, it was an unemployment benefit form 40.
Yeah, the irony
of it, mate. Really. So yeah, since that point, you know, I mean, they're all a bit bonkers. That happened with Ali's faction that I was in for 12 years, and then because I was saying the words UB40 on interviews and stuff like that, then I had the other UB40 saying, you can't say that, you were never in the original lot. And then I've had to have a stalker thing put on my house because one of the wives of the original members is like constantly stalking and bad-mouthing me and phoning up venues to put them off me, saying I'm a far-right fascist. And
well, I'm in that club.
This is why we're on this together, mate.
I've had stalkers. I've got stalkers. Oh. And yeah, apparently I'm a what does she call me? A white supremacist, English fascist, homophobic, racist, blah blah blah, because I opened a healing center.
Well, that's just standard, isn't it? That kind of goes with that, you know. You got to expect that.
Well, you know, I've never had to put up with that in any kind of business in the last 40 years. It's just I mean, if it wasn't, it's just what is wrong with these people?
I think, do you know what? I'd never noticed it until the last 4 years that there is definitely a divide mentally than the population. And you can't have a reasonable conversation with any of them. You know, over the years, I've been of the opinion that, you know, we can talk about certain subject matters and have a good old chinwag, have a drink and have a good old, even if it gets a little bit heated, at the end of it, once we've finished, we walk away as friends because they're just our personal opinions.
Well, that's the way it used to be.
That's how it used to be, yeah. Nowadays, you get called a racist, you get called, you know, you're homophobic, you can, I'll just get lost, you know. The language, it's just ridiculous. So I don't bother anymore. I just, especially on social media, it's just block.
Well, yeah, I just block them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a few videos.
7 or bots anyway, so I can't.
Well, it's funny, you know, because I used to get affected by it, but it's, you know, there's a few things I want to ask you about, actually, because, like, firstly, we've both been in showbiz, right? For, you know, I was in my 20s, especially. And call it showbiz. You know, I had a theatre company and did stand-up comedy and managed bands. I did loads of stuff like that. I was always attracted to the stage. It's been on that front, it's been very, very interesting to see who is, oh, look, Magna Carta Sisters official, watching, kiss, kiss. You're supposed to be in the show. She said, Angie says, no, I don't know. I don't know why. Come on, Angie, you can do it. When you press the StreamYard button, there's another button you have to press to get in. I don't know, because a lot of people have this issue with StreamYard. But, you know, I go back. I mean, I don't know what you're in your 40s, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, 50 next year. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back in time, looking at all the people that you've probably known a lot of people that got quite famous and stuff. It's interesting to see how many of them sort of towed the party line, as it were. That's a lot. I mean, there was not a lot of showbiz people that have, you know, stood up against things.
I'm absolutely, if I'm being dumbfounded by people, especially celebrities and artists and musicians, especially musicians, because obviously, I mean, you'll understand this. When you're growing up and you're listening to certain types of music, there's always the ones that are the political bands and the ones that are, you know, at the forefront of kind of giving their opinion about governments and policies and certain subject matter. And you have people like, you know, Rage Against the Machine.
I know. Which machine? Rage Against fuck all.
You know what I mean? And I'm absolutely just shocked. I never thought when all this kicked off that, I mean, the one band that you would least expect to stand at the forefront of this protest would be Right Said Fred. You know?
I know, and they've been brilliant.
They have been absolutely incredible. And there's a few others, you know, there's
I was sat in my garden in 2020, right, with the computer there, and I was playing Right Said Fred, and then I got a message from them on Facebook, because that's back when I was on Facebook, and I was like, I can't believe I'm sat here talking to Right Said Fred.
Yeah, they're just lovely guys, and they're so militant against all of this, and they will not back down, and I have so much respect for them. But yeah, literally, I mean, I can't even remember them, but on one hand, I could name the people that actually stood against this. The rest were just me up, please, you know, and let's keep rolling just so I can go on holiday and keep touring and earning money.
Yeah, a few of my friends took part in the propaganda as well.
Yeah,
which is even worse.
Yeah.
Than
I'll tell you what really struck me. I don't know if you know watched the Robbie Williams documentary that's just come out.
No, but I was on Chris Thrall's show recently, and he was on Chris Thrall, and then he was on Sean Attwood, and it's quite interesting the way he's been. What I've not seen that. What?
Well, I've met Robbie a few times over the years, and he's always been delightful. The first time I ever met him was when he first started his solo career, which was back in '97, and we're both the same age, you see. So I just remember getting really pissed with him backstage after his first show, which was in the Aston Villa Leisure Centre, and we just got on so well. And then I didn't see him for a few years, and the last time I saw him was at Rack Studios about 7 years ago. I think he was recording that big band album that he did, and he was delightful. Then we only crossed paths and just said hello, blah blah blah. But he's gone through mentally such a torturous career from the beginning, because he was launched into this platform at the age of 16, where the other guys, yeah, they were like in their 20s, early 20s, you know, so they were adults and he was a child. And it affected him psychologically for the rest of his life. You know, he dealt with depression and I'd say a mild form of schizophrenia, because he just didn't know whether he was coming or going, you know. And the whole documentary kind of bases his whole, it's like from beginning to end, it's like a diary, you know, a video diary. It's amazing how they've done it. But I just noticed recently, has been speaking out about the whole system, and not just about about all of it, you know, the fact that everybody's bought and paid for, and it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's like he's realized the truth behind it all finally. But for me, sometimes when artists do this, it's like, well, it's a little bit late. You're coming out now, mate. If you had been there 4 years ago, that would have helped substantially more, you know. And I think that's what I'm finding now, that there's certain artists starting to break through and speak about it, purely because they can feel the tide changing, so they're covering their own arse.
Well, I've got a friend from Birmingham called Gail, who I've known for quite a few years, and she's been out on the streets tirelessly working, you know, on behalf of everybody. She put a question on Twitter to me the other day. She said, what do you think about all these truthers that are coming out now after promoting it 3 years ago? And you're like, my answer to her on Twitter was, hi, Gail, if you're watching. Say hello to Natalie for me. It's between them and God.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't be, you know, a fair weather friend, isn't it? You know,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're only answerable to God, really, aren't they? Because I know the reasons I started all this was the infuriation in my head and in my gut as to what was going on, and I was not prepared to stand for it, and not prepared to stand for it and see other people go through it as well. I mean, everybody goes, oh, what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? I literally was just stood by my truth. I couldn't physically walk down that other path. I had to follow my truth, and that is it for me. And if I get any acclaim or, you know, whatever people say about me, it's literally from following my truth. That is it. Now, when I see these people that 3 years ago they were out, you know, doing the gigs because they had and they've got to, you know, put food on the table or pay the bills or everything like that. I lost everything. Well, I'd rather have lost everything than follow that narrative.
Well, I was going to come to that because I've interviewed a stand-up comic from Canada called Craig Campbell on my channel a couple of times, and I knew Craig 30 years ago at the Edinburgh Festival. And when I started my channel, I interviewed another Canadian comic called Alan Parks, and now Alan Parks, Alan passed on, died last year. He had a really long-running battle with cancer, but he got a second wind in his notoriety because he was talking about using cannabis to live through it, and he did for a very long time. He did it really, and so I interviewed him a couple of times, and he was a big part of my awakening because in 1999 I was one of the last comedy gigs I ever did in Manchester, and we were in a curry house on the Curry Mile, and he was talking about all this stuff like the protocols of the Elders of Zion, the New World Order, and all of this stuff, and I was just really getting to grips with that information at the time. Because I'd read David Icke's The Bigged Secret. It was all sort of coming in. I mean, it started with me 30 years ago, really, but it was slow in the first 10 years, and I thought it was all political, like a lot of people. I became a socialist, which is, I realize now, was a really bad idea. I mean, that's one of the limited hangout kind of ways they entrap people with a heart. Because if you've got a heart, then you think socialism makes a lot of sense, but it's actually just communism, and it's just another trap because politics is not the answer. And anyway, Craig was saying even before all this happened, because of his views, he was getting blacklisted from the clubs; they wouldn't book him, so he'd not been able to earn a penny from his normal. He spent 30 years getting paid to do stand up, and then nothing. And that same for you, right? I assume
my it was obliterated, Mark. Obliterated. I mean, I liken it at the time. It felt like I was literally standing on a cliff edge, looking out to sea, just thinking, well, what do I do now? Because this is all I've done all my life. I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
And I always remember the interview that Rishi Sunak was on the TV, that people are going to have to retrain in different areas of the workplace. And I thought, you cheeky shit. I've trained and studied this career all my life. Now, just because you say I've got to change because of the economy and the way it's falling and we need to bring things back up and people are going to have to make sacrifices, I weren't having any of it. I was absolutely fuming,
Yeah, you disappeared for a sec there. You're back.
Back with the jazz hands.
Back with the jazz.
So yeah, it was really off the whole period of that. And ironically, with the in the old arm, I refused it, and they all took it. And then the first gig they had back was in Leeds at Millennium Square, and they had to cancel it anyway because 2 of them tested positive in the band, which was ridiculous. And I know they don't like, because I'll get loads of hate mails, but Astro had and he's sadly no longer with us. I mean,
oh really?
Ali's had it, and my God, the difference in his stature compared to when I was in the band, he's like a different person. He looks like a different person. It's unbelievable. And one of the other band members, he's really like forgetful now, and not a shadow of the former man he was, and it's criminal, all so they could carry on working, no thanks. I really literally would rather have nothing, I'd rather go out and get a job as a taxi driver or whatever than follow that path.
Well, yeah. I mean, during 21, there was a kind of a swell of people going, "We are the purebloods," and I was like, "Hang on a minute, hang on a minute. We're angry, but a lot of people were con."
Yes, of course.
And they didn't stand up, but I just had a lot of compassion for them, and I was in Birmingham actually when I got told to make a video on Twitter and it'd get 1 million views, and it was about, hang on, compassion. Yeah. We need compassion. Yeah. Don't start doing that whole more divide and conquer business. And it was all about the healing for me, and that's like, that video's had 971,000 views so far. So if you're watching this, go to Twitter, find the pin message, and get it shared. I want it to get to 1 million, not for me, but I got told something spectacular might happen when it does.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people that were, you know, single mums with low incomes, and they didn't want to lose their jobs. They didn't want to. I mean, the term I've heard a lot from a lot of different people is "didn't want to rock the boat," and I'm like, really? This is like, it's just staggering that they can't see the magnitude of the problem.
Yeah, I think things for me. I mean, like you said, you've kind of known for 30 years before this. For me, I always knew within society something wasn't quite right. I never things never made sense to me, and the last 4 years kind of really have opened the box and gone. I personally have gone. Now I get it. Secondly, I think you're completely right about these people that had that, because the level of psyop that has been used over the last 50 years on these people to indoctrinate that mind thought and that mindset. People just thought they were genuinely doing the right thing. A lot of them, they just thought, you know, this, I need to do this. You know, I don't want to hurt anybody. Because we're awake and you see, you're like, no.
Well, no, it makes you even more angry because you know that they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
So and then they think you're bad because you're trying to stop them.
Exactly. And now I see them, and there's so many that are injured and they're just completely being ignored. Is even more infuriating, you know, because these people just were genuinely doing the right thing. And when you're faced, I mean, at the time when I kind of made that decision, well, I'd rather have nothing than, I was financially in a position where I could afford to do that. It kind of left me quickly because I had nothing, but I was fortunate to be in a position to do that. A lot of people are not, especially carers that work for the care system. They were faced with, well, Maureen, you know, you've got to have this jab next Tuesday, otherwise we're going to have to let you go, love. And this Maureen has been in care for 17, 18 years, and she's with paying bills, she's faced with food on the table. It was an awful position to put people in. So I do get it, and I feel sorry and angry at the same time for these people.
Yeah, well, me too. And I just want them all, you know, I want to save everybody, but I realize you can't save everybody and you can't win every argument, but you can. My message for everybody has been, please find peace with whatever you think God is, firstly. And secondly, if you now understand what the problem is, please start speaking out, because there are millions and millions and millions of us.
Yeah.
And that's how we flood the market because we're going up against a $1 trillion media machine, you know. So that's why I did a course teaching people how to find their voice. There's a link. By the way, I'm just going to show everybody this because I just want to make sure everybody's aware. Somebody just said, is this the same Matt Hoy we're going to see in Birmingham? Is that, I don't know how to pronounce that, Roga, but my Irish name pronunciation is a bit shite. But let me just pull
there's
up.
There's not many Hoys out there. Yeah.
There's a what? Sorry?
I said there's not many Matt Hoys out there.
No, there's not. This is definitely the same Matt Hoy, because so Matt, I met through the Magna Carta Sisters, who are supposed to be on the show, but I've just had a message from Angie saying apologies. She's had a technical problem, and Mandy's not well. Mandy, hope you get well soon.
She's had a technical problem, and Mandy's not well. Is Mandy a robot?
I don't know. It says Mandy's not well.
From us.
Yeah, lots of vitamin C is lots. Overdose on vitamin C. Liposomal vitamin C will get rid of the majority of things. In my humble opinion, YouTube, that's all it is, an opinion.
The roll eyes.
Yeah. How dare you say that vitamin C? It's so funny. I mean, we've got this hyperbaric oxygen chamber place here in Ireland, and then Google, I'm doing some Google ad testing, and they're saying that we're not going to show this ad because it's an experimental and speculative healings. And I'm like, what? It's oxygen. it's hyperbaric oxygen is 370 years old as an idea.
Yeah.
300 plus years.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's experimental to give people oxygen.
Not experimental, have you?
Oh, that's not experimental at all, but breathing is experimental. What are you doing? I'm just experimenting. I've noticed that if I do this, I live longer.
I noticed. Did you? I don't know. It was a few months back now. That was it. Loose women. Do you caption was? Do you think breathing will help you live?
No, they didn't. Tell me they didn't.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, I thought that's an all-time low even for loose women.
Oh my goodness! Well, that Denise Welch was on. She's been outspoken. Has she been? She's been on the side of my radar. She seemed to be, but I don't know if there's a lot of this is controlled.
Yeah,
you know,
Denise,
it's like
she's a lovely lady, and she has been outspoken, but she's been shut down. And I tell you, the other lady that used to be on Loose Women as well, Carol McGiffin. She really has been outspoken, and she's been completely removed from Loose Women. And yeah, so she's one of the ones that have stood up, spoke out, and now she's no longer on TV. So that's what you get, you know.
Wow, yeah, well, that is what you get. Know them by their faces on the telly. It's been interesting. My last YouTube channel got taken down because I linked Schofield,
yeah,
all the way back to other famous people in media, like Ian Fleming, what's his name? Alistair Crowley, John Dee, W.B. Yeats, all the way back. There's a lineage, and they didn't like that. They closed me down. Anyway, one of the I'm just showing everybody here underneath this video, wherever you watch it. This is YouTube. You'll see there's a description here, and there's a couple of links to a website called Skiddle. Because Matt, when I found out Matt was running a knees up, now there's Americans here that probably won't come, but they don't know what a knees up is. Should we explain what a knees up is, Matt?
A knees up is a good old fashioned. I was going to say shindig, but they won't even know what that is. It's a good, in America, it's a good old fashioned party.
It's a party.
It's a party.
Party.
Party. Yeah, that's what that is, and it's a Christmas one, so it's going to be great.
Yeah. So Matt's doing that. What's the name of the venue, Matt?
It is the Midway Sports and Social, and it's in Lee Hall in Birmingham. It's an amazing venue, and it's owned and run by my good friend Tom McGrath, who is a true there till the end. He's a wonderful man, and he's put both events on for us. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting him. So anyway, Matt, when I found out Matt was doing this knees up, I was like, oh, I want to see my mum at Christmas. I wonder if I could put the film on there at the same time. Because for you guys watching, I did a film. I've mentioned it enough times. A film about my participation in Truth Tour 2 in America last year. It's taken a year to edit it together. It's like 80 hours of footage down to less than 2, and it's quite good fun. It is good fun. And you guys are all invited. So I decided to do the film screening at before Matt's party, so that everybody comes to the film screening can then come to the party and put the two together.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
the thing is that what I will tell people is separately ticketed. So
yeah,
just because let's say tickets for mine, it doesn't mean you can get into Mark's and vice versa. You have to buy separate tickets because we have to clear the room and start again. But it is going to be amazing because the room is quite it's quite Art Deco, actually. I love the place, and it's completely blacked out, and it's going to look like an old-fashioned cinema once it's set up for Mark's event. And then we're clearing it all out, and it's going to be like an old 80s/90s Christmas party, you know, with the bumper packs and all. We're just going to get blottoed and there's no modern music allowed. It's all going to be 80s and 90s and the cheesiest Christmas songs ever.
Hang on. Does that mean I've got to wear my my Stay Pressed trousers, my track shoes, and my burgundy pullover?
Whatever you want, brother.
Christmas parties in the 80s. I wore a lot of burgundy.
You can wear a bum bag as well and keep all your stuff on the side. Yeah.
I never have one. A fanny pack.
A fanny pack.
I bought a fanny pack. I was very disappointed because it did not have in it what was advertised. That's a very rude joke for the morning. Sorry, guys.
I don't know what I've been entered into here on this Mark Attwood show.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Did nobody warn you?
Carry on and filth.
So I'm trying. Well, I'm a working class boy. What do you expect? Yeah, so in the description, guys, there's a couple of links there. The one's for my film screening, one's for Matt's party. I'll stop sharing that and then show you what happens when you go to the links, just because I know people like to be shown how to do this. And this is the screening of Where You Attwood. and then you just go here and you buy a ticket here. It's 20 quid. Should have been 15, but I've got to hire in quite a bit of equipment, and I didn't know how many people. And this film's cost me nearly 50,000 quid to make, and I don't expect it to make money back. But any contribution is very welcome. I would like to get something back. I mean that sounds like, you know, big vanity projects to some degree, but I just knew that I wanted to capture this whole thing, because it's like I say about this book. Where is it? You know, if I'm right, it's I'll bring you one of these. No, if I'm right, it's a collector's edition. If I'm wrong, it's very expensive toilet paper. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it's the latter, mate. Trust me. I think.
Well, we're going to find out, but you know, I might not be right about everything, but I think it's. Let me just find your link for your thing, so everybody can see that, because it's going to be fun. And I was talking to Matt about this the other week. I was like, look, you know, when you're in a war, and this is a war, one of the most important things. Anyway, let's get this up. There you go. Christmas knees up. Come and enjoy Christmas knees up like the old days. Like the old days.
Like the old days.
With a live performance from what you're going to be doing, Matt.
I'm just going to do a few of my own and a few covers, a few regular classics, just to get people. I'm going to do long. Do you know what I mean? I'm only going to do about 45 minutes. It's more just about getting up and saying hello to a few people and having a little bit of a chinwag, playing a few tracks, and then but just having a party and just actually get like the old days, like we used to sit down at a table and talk to people, instead of having mobile and devices constantly in front of our faces, you know.
Well, yeah. So we were chatting the other week, and I said, look, in any wartime situation, one of the most important departments of any military is the entertainment section, and the reason for that, I mean, I was just thinking, it ain't our fault, Mum. Lovely boys. Remember that? That was the entertainment section of the British Army in Burma in the 50s. Lofty. God, that takes me back. Whispering Grass.
Well, what a voice. What a voice.
What a voice.
Absolutely. What was his name there?
Lofty.
No, his real name. I can't remember his real name.
No, I remember the other one was Windsor Davis. He had a voice as well.
Windsor Davis. Oh God, what was his voice? What was his name there?
Let's dig him out on YouTube. Just because it'll make the Americans laugh, because they've never seen anything. Someone's going to tell us in the comments.
Yeah, love it. So yes, you were saying the entertainment side of things during a war.
Donna Stell.
Let's
have a bit of this, because this takes me, but just a few seconds of it, because I don't want. Hang on. This is me and Matt showing our age. This is what passed as entertainment in the early 80s, but actually these guys were properly talented. Let's have a bit of this.
Whispering Grass say, you can't keep your word. Keep your word. Sing lofty.
Why do you whisper green grass? Why?
That voice.
I know, he's brilliant.
Oh, God. Unbelievable.
Yeah, go watch that, guys, today after this show, and just cheer yourself up while you're chopping your spuds for dinner or whatever.
I don't want to set the world on fire. That's the other classic he did. It was amazing.
Yeah, and I love a bit. You don't get that anymore. You know, back to what you were saying about music, and somebody put a note about Pink Floyd. I was talking about Pink Floyd, you know, because we grew up with, and I quoted it a lot on the tour in America. And I wore a "God Save the Queen" T-shirt.
Yeah.
I grew up with the Pistols, and you know, for anybody who doesn't know, the Pistols were at #1 with songs like "God Save the Queen,"
yeah,
"The Fascist Regime," "She Ain't No Human Being," "Hello,"
exactly, yeah,
"Hello,"
yeah,
and that's the same Johnny Rotten that was on the BBC talking about Jimmy Savile, and then didn't get aired.
Yeah,
he said, we all knew about him. You know, one of my heroes, Johnny Rotten. I went to see him in Dublin last year. He's another singer that surprised me, because he was really operatic.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
because as a kid, I thought he was just shouty, but bloody hell, he can sing.
No, he's a great singer. He's a great singer. But I kind of know what you're leading on to, is the fact that there's no.
Yeah. Well, Pink Floyd, another brick in the wall.
Yeah.
You know, #1. I remember watching that on top of the video. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need no education. Hey, teacher, leave our kids alone.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic.
But the thing is, unless you're, like you said before, unless you're awake and you understand, because like once you are awake, that's it. It's game over for everything that you enjoyed previous to that. If it's on TV or anything like, because you can't look at it in the same way. So unless you acknowledge that, to those guys, it's just a great lyric. You know, there's no message behind it. You know, it's unfortunate, but I think they've been trying to transcend messages over the last 50 years, but it's only us lot that have clocked onto it.
Well, I pull this out quite often. Everybody needs to go and look at this up.
He's holding a book, by the way, in case you can't see it.
I'm holding a book. Look at the screen now if you're just listening to this. I'm not going to read it out because you never know. But these guys created, and I was explaining this to my kids the other day. Everybody should go and read Propaganda by Edward Bernays, written in 1929. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, and the Freud family are still extremely large in disappeared there for.
I can hear you, but you're not moving.
We lost. I must have said something. Reconnecting. Are you there?
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, he's back. He's back. And when you realize even the Beatles were created. Is that your dog?
It's my dog, and I think it's Amazon. So just
yeah, no, I'll keep chatting. We have another guest here anyway. Hello.
Oh.
You made it.
Made it, yeah.
How's it going?
Right, bloody palaver with tech.
This is Angie, everybody. Angie, explain about the Magna Carta Sisters.
Well, I'm one half of the Magna Carta Sisters. We've mostly worked behind the scenes since 2020, doing the Magna Carta paperwork, helping people with theirs, teaching them. That's it, really. And
don't say it like it's nothing. Because
just helping people in general, and obviously doing the research and finding out all the horrors of the world, and feeling passionate the way you do, Mark, as well. I mean, Mandy and I wanted to go down Dumbs and rescue kids, but Anyway, moving on from that, and then all the general stuff. Anyway, I've been listening in. I've had terrible tech problems, which is why we haven't actually posted anything for a while. Since we got booted off because of Matt.
Oh, did you? Where did you get booted off?
YouTube.
Oh, did you
because of this. Do you remember, Matt?
Yeah. All right. I've learned.
No, I know. But the usual, same old, Mark. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's an achievement to get booted off YouTube.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to come back, but I thought, fuck it, I'll keep coming back.
Yeah, absolutely.
To annoy them. I just like annoying them.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. But you guys watching, try and find these people where they are as well, all over the place. And me, Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, Twitter. That's where I am. And theMarkAttwoodShow.com. Where are you, Matt, mainly?
Oh, I'm all over the socials, Telegram. Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
But did you? Yeah. Well, I know you're on Twitter and Telegram. Did you survive on Instagram and Facebook and all of that?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. But surprisingly, it really keeps going on about Twitter over the last 40. They've had real problems. I never had a single problem. I mean, I probably ruined it for myself now, but I've never had a single problem ever. Facebook, oh my god, it's like
I got booted off Facebook nearly 2 years ago, and I'm so glad I'm not on there, because I had 10,000 followers on there, and I went back through somebody else's account, and I was looking at the way people talk on there is very different to Twitter, and it's very there's a kind of different way of communicating, and it's kind of like, I know a lot of people around here who spoke out on Facebook, because the island really is totally. I'll just explain this briefly for the viewers as well. I teach internet marketing. That's my background before all this started. I've written books on the subject. And I remember standing up. I think it was a talk I gave in 2009 in London, and I described Facebook as this giant monolithic blue city that was grown out of the ground. Because the internet, for me, when I was on the internet in the early days, was like everything was open source, and it was like, for me, it was like a beautiful wilderness with birds flying and deers gambling and jumping across the streams and fishing the streams, and it was beautiful. And then this fucking great big blue city came up out of nowhere, right? Which always reminded me of the city in Logan's Run. Do you remember Logan's Run in the 70s?
Yeah.
And everybody, once they got to the age of 32, they got terminated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Logan went, fuck this, and went on the run. And outside it was lovely. And he got chased by this android with very strange eyebrows. And I was explaining this to people back then that, there's a problem here, because I noticed it because my auntie, for example, never went on the internet. But as soon as her daughter went to university, she joined via Facebook. And then I could see she was addicted to fucking counting sheep games or whatever the fuck people do on Facebook. And it's like, people just don't understand how brainwashed and mind controlled they are by these, social media. And I was thinking back when we were just talked before Angie came on, I was thinking about the Beatles, right? And I grew up loving the Beatles as a kid, and I bought all the books and I would listen to all the interviews, and even down to some of the lines, their famous quotes like, and a man came down on a cloud and he said, you are Beatles with an A, so we were, stuff like that is part of what the Tavistock guys did to create these quotes and to make you believe that these things are real. And it's so powerful that getting people out of it is just.
Well, the thing is, I've just the reason I'm jumping in because I was in Liverpool, not yesterday, the day before, doing an interview, and the previous times I've been in Liverpool, because obviously I love the Beatles, I love the music, and the whole history of the band, I was fascinated by it. And every time I was in Liverpool, it always kind of had to go to the Beatles shop, the Hard Day's Night Hotel, or around the Eleanor Rigby, the pubs, and all the different places, because I just loved the whole thing, the bubble of the Beatles, And the other day when I went up to do this interview, I was just looking at all these buildings thinking, well, that's fake. That's fake. That never happened. Don't know why I'm going in there. That wasn't there. That's not the original. Just ruined everything. I was going.
Well, that's a great example of how I call it rewriting history in bricks and mortar. I mean, if you go to Belfast, there's the Titanic place, right?
Yeah.
And, I took the kids shopping there not long ago, and I said that's all bullshit. It's like the visitor centre at the Giant's Causeway. It's just bullshit. Yeah. It's just. They rewrite history in bricks and mortar.
Yeah. Well, it was supposed to be where the Titanic was actually moored opposite the hotel.
Yeah.
Just people standing there going, oh, "Can you believe it? Actually, that's where it was." Yeah, it's horrible, really. Sometimes knowing the truth.
It is. It is. I've been watching some old films, and it's all in the films, but we didn't see it.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
So clever.
Oh, you got to give it to them, yeah.
Oh, well, go and watch the Wizard of Oz and start there, because it's all there.
Yeah.
All of it is there. It's extraordinary.
I'll tell you one place definitely isn't, and that's in the Carry On films.
Well.
Well, that's true.
I don't know about that.
I still love the Carry On films. I won't hear a word against them.
Yeah.
No.
I love them. I love that. I love that kind of performance. Although it is a bit depressing when you read things like Barbara Windsor's autobiography was called "Tears of a Cockney Sparrow," and it was about 10 pages long, and it was written by a ghostwriter who couldn't write. Once you find out about your heroes, it's not so nice, really.
No, I mean, I read about Kenneth Williams, and Kenneth Williams had a tragic life.
Well, no, Kenneth Williams' diaries is one of the best things I've ever read, but the last page is absolutely heartbreaking.
Unbelievable book. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did a lot of studying with him and Joe Orton, who was murdered by his partner in 1968, I think, in London, who wrote, and this connects to the Beatles as well, because he wrote Prick Up Your Ears. There's a great film about Joe Orton starring Gary Oldman and Dr. Octopus. Alfred Molina. That's a really good watch because he was writing really interesting things, and he was actually writing a script for the Beatles. And I think when he got killed,
No way.
yeah. So somehow they were drawing, and that's what they draw these people into these things, and it's always been a subject of great interest for me how they pull them in. Is it the contracts? Is it agreements they make before they come to Earth? I mean, because there's a lot of incredibly talented people that you never heard of.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, that's one of the main conversations, isn't it? Because it's nothing to do with actual talent and that side of it. It's to do with being in the right place at the right time and being introduced to the right people,
and then getting pulled up through the ranks. I mean, some of the bands that I worked with years ago would tell me about going to record producers' houses in London, and then an offer would be made to them about doing something that they would either agree to do or not agree to do. And if they, and in fact, a really good friend of mine, a guy called Brian Glancy, and there's a band called Elbow that were really big fans of his before they became famous, and they talked about him extensively when they got famous. And me and Brian used to hang out and play badminton together, and we had a really good trip up to the Edinburgh Festival once. And he told me all sorts because he was a phenomenal singer-songwriter. And he got back from America, a trip to America, and he wasn't the same guy. And he used to say, he wouldn't tell me anything about it, but he'd just refer to it as Hell A or Los Angeles, and parties. And I don't know what, he never told me, and he died, unfortunately, 10 years ago.
I mean, obviously, over the years being involved in music, I've heard lots of different stories. But the one that stuck out to me, Michael Bernays, the story he told. He was into filmmaking before he was into doing whatever he's doing there, and he was making a film with a really credible actor, and this guy was in Killing Eve. He was the guy with the white hair in Killing Eve. It's been in loads of stuff, but he kind of was invited into one of these situations where, as they call it, walking through the door. And he refused. He refused because he knew exactly what it was, and he refused. And from the refusal, that's the point I'm making is that's where the problem is. Because if you refused because you weren't interested in, you were doing it genuinely for the love of the art, that's fine. But because you've refused with this, because there's so much involved in it and so much at stake, and they reveal so much to you, they ruin your career. And that's what they did to him. They froze all his bank accounts. They ruined his business. They did. You know what I mean? And that's the problem people have, I think, with all this kind of stuff. Once they've been made aware of the illusion of what they could possibly have, and if they turn it down, everything else they've worked towards gets destroyed. That's the problem for me, They're not just left to be jobbing musicians or jobbing actors or just doing for the love of the art, They're just decimated. So I kind of think you have to sometimes, a lot of the people that do it are kind of blackmailed into it, because otherwise they lose completely everything,
Yeah.
Well, everything's kind of everything's a test for your soul, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to keep your soul or don't you?
Yeah, I think exactly that's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time when you see these big stars, when they kind of something tragic happens to them, is their level of conscious catches up with them, and they can't deal with it anymore, and they start to make moves towards revealing certain things, and then all of a sudden, somebody died in a tragic accident or blah blah blah, and that's how they deal with it all,
Or they get retarded.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I was going to say that. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my 13-year-olds has been watching Friends back to back just because Matthew Perry disappeared recently.
Yeah.
But was he taken out? Was he taken off the set? I mean, he was definitely connected to Epstein and all of that stuff in some way.
Was he? Oh God, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, do you
remember the? Do you remember the chef Anthony Bourdain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he tweeted like a couple of months before he was suicided. The cast of Friends all chanted "Hail Satan" in the breaks.
No.
Yeah. And Jennifer Aniston's a bloke, and has been on loads of Ellen. Ellen, whose set was the blue and white Epstein Island thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that Alan? Isn't it Alan?
Alan Degenerate, I called him in a poem.
Absolutely.
Not Ellen DeGeneres, Alan Degenerate.
Yeah.
Well, he was one that was literally stood there advertising vaccinated merchandise. Could I be more?
See?
I said vacation.
Yes.
I'm going on vacation.
Okay.
The AI is going like this.
Yeah.
Breaking news, the AI is actually Popeye. Fucking hell. Try putting a poem on a mug. It's really hard.
Oh, bless.
This is
nice.
the best is yet to come. I tried to get it on a mug and I was like, nobody can read this. So I just only ever had one made.
Oh, truly, it's definitely on the way though. I've got to be honest. I've definitely started firing up the popcorn. It's all started trickling through finally.
Well, you know, I did a video yesterday about because Andrew Bridgen posted about the Daily Telegraph saying that it was faulty. The AZ was faulty.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on a minute. Look, somebody's made a good point in here about if the white hats are in control, why are they bothering censoring? I'm going to come to that hopefully in a minute. But you know, when I see it, and I worked at the Daily Telegraph when I was in the late 80s. I got headhunted there, and I went and worked there just for a few weeks actually. But it was a really interesting experience for me, just seeing these journalists and how they operate. They were mainly pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very, very well paid.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in the back of a cab leaving Ronnie Scott's with one of the highest paid journalists in the country, and he was crying his eyes out. He'd lost his family and everything. And I said, why do you stay here? And he said, well, because the money's too good. And I was like,
He's doing lunches.
Yeah. There was a boat outside the Daily Telegraph. This is when it was in Canary Wharf. And it's this huge fucking building. I was Max Hastings. I was next to him, right? He's not a very nice man. I won't say anything. That's my opinion, just my opinion. There was this boat outside, and it was like a 3-tier boat.
Yeah.
And the journal, I'd get there keen as mustard at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and the whole place was empty. And then the journalists would start drifting in about 11:30. They'd sit there for half an hour. And then they go to the boat, and depending upon their seniority, so the editors would be on the top level and be getting caviar and champagne. The sub-editors would be in the middle level, getting steak, and then the writers, and the cleaners would all be down the bottom level with a buffet. And fucking hell, I've never seen drinking like it. And I'm a working club. I grew up in working men's clubs. I've seen a lot of lager go down a lot of throats.
Yeah,
but it was unbelievable. These guys were fucking hammered. They'd stumble out at about 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I don't know how they got a paper written. I think probably because it was being written down the road by these guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, so I knew it was fake news. I think God puts us in these positions to show us stuff ready for this time, because it's as far as I'm concerned, my whole life has been all about preparing for this time. What about you guys?
I think that's for everybody, Mark. I absolutely believe that everything we've done in our life, it has brought us to where we are today. For now, for this time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's loads of things when I look back on my life and I think, oh my God, knowing what we know now. I mean, I'll give you an example. The school I went to, from the second year, so I'd be 12, 13. There was a teacher there, and she was always very nice to me all through school. Anyway, fast forward. The week I was leaving school, she says to me, do you want to go to a nightclub? This is absolute the truth, right? Do you want to go to a nightclub? And of course, me, I was actually still 15 in the July. I wasn't 16 until the August. So I thought, yeah, of course I do, Thought I was big, going out with a teacher. Anyway, she picked me up And we went to the Snooty Fox. Do you remember the Snooty Fox in
Solihull?
Solihull?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a revolving dance floor. Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember it. My cousin used to go. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys are a bit younger than me, but anyway. So we've gone there, and then we left there 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And she said, "Oh, I've just got to pop over and see some people." Okay. So we've gone to this house over in Edgbaston. Okay. I can't remember the address.
I know where you're going with this.
Do you?
Go on.
So we've got to this house. She said, "Come with me." Me, totally innocent, you know. Got to this house. There was a little hatch in the door. He opened the little hatch, seen who it was, let us in. She said to me, "Wait there." It was a massive big hallway with these sliding doors. And as they opened the doors, I could see in there older men with young girls on their laps. Yeah. And I was just thinking, you know, dirty old fuckers sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, she came out and she's like, "Come on, quickly, let's go, let's go." And we left. And I look back on that now and I just think, oh my God, how lucky was I? How lucky was I, because there was something seriously wrong there. And I wish I could remember the actual address, but I do remember that it was Edgbaston.
Well, coming back to Mike, we were talking about Mike earlier.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
When I dropped Mike off, it was down the road and there were 2 towers. He said, "This is the Twin Tower." I mean, I've been told that that area of Birmingham is what Tolkien based Mordor on.
Oh God.
Yeah.
What, Edgbaston?
Yeah, yeah.
All that area, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's hell. Basically.
Yeah.
And this is nothing negative. There's lots of amazing people in Birmingham, including my mum. And you know, but the darkness there, the satanic families there, the whole thing, and the Twin Towers of Tolkien's book are literally on the road near where Mike lived. Right. And he said Tolkien lived on the other street. And I've talked about Tolkien lots of times on here, and I linked him back to John Dee and the secret books underneath the universities and the true history of Earth. Yeah, and I've met some very, very interesting people who've got some extremely dark things to say about that whole place. But it's not just there; it's everywhere. Yeah,
exactly. So there you go. That's going back to 1975.
Wow.
So, yeah, and we left there, and we drove. She had a little sports car. And if you're out there, Noreen, you contact me, because what was you up to? How many kids did you take there? How many kids did go there but never came from there? Because they were from...
Can I ask you, why do you think you were permitted to leave? What do you think?
Why was I permitted to
leave? Why? Obviously, if there's rooms.
Well, I've thought about this. Yeah, I've thought about this many times. How did I get from there? Why was I, And I think because our mother was a big gob, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
Mandy and I, we're really lucky. We had really good parents, I mean, oh my God, I dread to think what they'd be thinking now with all this that we found out. But, Mum she would have raised hell.
Yeah.
So I think I've got a feeling, thinking about it now, I think somebody in there was from the school, realised who I was. This is what I think. I don't know. I don't know 100%. Whether it was one of the teachers or even the headmaster, I don't know. I'm not saying it was him, Mr. Barnett. But I think somebody in there said, "Get her out of here now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mandy and I have been through lots of experiences in our life. And believe me, we've certainly been taken care of from how can I put it, from another realm, if you like,
well,
angel, whatever. Yeah,
that's the thing. We have been protected.
Yeah, we have 100%. Yeah.
And just down the road from you, I grew up in Northamptonshire, about 45 minutes away. And I grew up with a religious cult growing around me called the Jesus Army. And I mean, I put in one of my poems, I put, you're surrounded by Jimmy Savile was the tip of the berg. You're surrounded by pedophiles. And we all were, and people still are surrounded by these fucking monsters.
Yeah.
I'm just going to share. I just had to look this guy up because this is Noel Stanton, who abused my dad when he was a 10-year-old choir boy, because this guy was a lay preacher at the church in my village in Bugbrook. And he founded the Jesus Fellowship. And, this thing grew and grew and grew around me. And then you can see here, is the Jesus Army still going? It got disbanded in 2019, which I was very pleased to hear. After the BBC revealed children suffered abuse on a prolific scale.
Yeah.
And my first love committed suicide at the age of 28. And her mum was one of the founders of this as well. And it's just... it all around us, So this is why I've always disliked religion or anything organized. I mean, I was in the Cubs, I was in the Cadets, I was in all these things. And even as a cadet, I got picked for this football team. I had to go to Norwich for a training weekend. We walked into the room and the manager with a Norwich accent went, "Right, lads, I'm the manager. Now, if you get an headache, don't come to me because I'll make you take your shorts down." I was like, what did he just say? It was grooming everywhere. It's just everywhere. It's grooming. And a lot of people, the story you just told, the really interesting thing about that is that it was a woman.
Yeah. And beautiful. She was beautiful. Petite, long dark hair, beautiful. But I'll just add, when we came out, she started to, what I know now is curb crawling. And there was 2 guys. And I'm just sitting, next to her. And she's talking, I can't remember what she was saying to them, but she looked at me and she went, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "About what?" And she went, "Oh, it's okay." And then we drove off. What the fuck? Yeah.
It's a little test. It's a little leading question. Yeah. It's always,
I didn't even know what she meant when she said, "What do you think?" I about what? I was 15, for goodness sake. And a 15-year-old then is not like a 15-year-old today.
No, we were innocent.
Yeah. And
well, it's responses, isn't it? As well. I mean, now you've been talking about it, I've just been kind of going back through my memories of, even back to like school, and when we were young and we had PE, physical education.
Oh, PE. Somebody just said in the comments, PE teachers were
disgusting.
Jesus, and even the things we had. Like even in the changing rooms, they had the communal showers, and just to point out the kind of the maturer, shall I say, students and the other ones that are kind of grown hair or developed up top.
I can still see it in my mind's eye.
It's just wrong. It's so wrong.
Disgraceful,
so wrong it was. And they'd watch you going through the showers, and you were, trying to cover yourself. It was.
Well, the girls at my school used to tell us, the boys, about one of the teachers, like, was always in there and was always demonstrating tampons and things like this, and they were freaked out as to fuck.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I used to just what we used to call wagging. I used to do that a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I
and you know what? I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
because it means I wasn't too indoctrinated.
I think we knew, our souls knew. Oh, we lost Matt. He's back again. Because at school, I ran away. I'd just go, "Can I go to the toilet, miss?" And I'd go out and I'd just run away.
Yeah.
And the teacher, Miss Oakes, I adored her when I was 4 or 5 years old. But she had this needle, like a big, what do you call it? Like a safety pin, but a big one, and she unhooked it and threatened me with that if I ran away again. Hang on, threatened with a needle? It's not a bit familiar.
Sounds like no. But yeah, it's I mean, our school was it's crap. It was crap anyway. I mean, I remember the maths teacher. We'd go in and he'd say, "Oh, right, you girls, you're not going to need any education. You're just going to get married and have a pile of kids. So if you want, you might as well leave now."
Oh, they didn't give a shit about. I told my careers.
I'd pick up my bag and go, "Bye."
Yeah.
Mr. Lomax, if you're watching this, you're a fucking arsehole, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Lomax sat down with me with a fucking clipboard and he said, right, what are you going to do for a career? And I said, well, I'm going to be a pilot in the RAF. And he went, anyway, there's this factory down the road. And I was like, no, I'm going to be a pilot in the RAF. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I had exactly the same, mate. Yeah. My head of year, Mr. O'Brien, you
Terrible.
little wanker, if you're still alive.
I hope they're watching.
Yeah. I said, what do you want to achieve in life? What do you want to do? He said, because you're obviously not academic. And I said, well, I want to be a singer. I want to be a pop star, and I want to tour the world. And he nearly fell off his chair.
Yeah.
You know. So, and what have I done? It's like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who's laughing at? So,
exactly.
Horrible.
I
people.
know it's they were horrible. There was our art teacher was great, Mr. Johnson. That's a bit eccentric, but
they're good ones. But you know, I think a lot of them, if they're not up to it, it's like now. You know, the amount of people that turn a blind eye. I mean, even the school here. I wrote to the teachers here and I said, look, I'm sure you're a lovely person. I'm sure you love your job and you're a great teacher. However, you're making 10-year-olds wear masks.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, that's child abuse.
Yeah.
And I said, there's nothing I can do. All I can do is take my kids out of school. But I want you to know I'm never going to forget this.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is why I keep going with what, you know, however long this is taking, I keep going and I keep rehashing certain ideas. You know, some people say, oh, that's not news. Well, that's because some people are new to the information.
Yeah.
Because we cannot let them forget.
Well, going back to what you said before, and you, Angie, I know you've said this to me quite a few times, you and Mandy, is that we're all here for a specific reason. And the reason we're doing this at this moment in time is because it's our journey, it's our path. And my other half, Paula, has always said this to me, is because going back to Facebook, I had a community page on there during the whole of this period. And it turned into literally like therapy for some people. They kind of, even if I wasn't on there, they talk amongst themselves and help each other out. And I received countless messages from people actually saying that what I was saying saved their lives.
Dude.
So if I was telling the band and doing like that, would never have happened, and those people would have sadly probably passed away. So I completely get what you're saying. That me leaving and being fired was for a reason to help whoever further down the chain, you know.
100%. They took my Facebook page down as well in 2021, and I'd had it since 2008. So I lost all my pictures purely because I was posting about the paedophiles, and plus I had two other pages. Child abusers must be exposed and animal abusers must be exposed. They took the lot down.
Well, this comes back to whether the white hats are in control. I know they are.
Yeah.
Whoever
where
asked
are they?
Oh no, they're doing amazing. They're doing an amazing job. They're everywhere, and I know this in here, and that's what people forget because they're looking at this and they're going, "Well, why is that still happening? Why is this still happening? Why is the center?" Because this is a war on consciousness, and this is the Earth School that we're in, and we're all here for our own individual soul's development, and what is the better way of waking people up for them to see this stuff? And all the souls that are here, and I've had this directly from the source, even the children in the tunnels have communicated with me through different mediums to say, we have to have enormous compassion even for the people that are perpetrating this stuff, because they're the most lost souls that there are. That's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but what we have to remember, Mark, is that we are not the judges of these people.
Exactly.
It's God's job. And, yes, I mean, God, my language is putrid when I think about it's just like yours, Mark, which is why we've got your book, because, I mean, even that word's too good for them.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I don't think there's not anything, Mandy and I
it's a good release. The reason I use that word is because it's a release.
It is. I agree with you. It is a release.
I'll just show people who don't know what I'm talking about. Keep talking. I'm not going to speak.
Yeah. No, I was just going to get the copy actually. If you beat me to it.
I agree. Like Tom, when we went round to the Meadway, whenever I see Tom, he's not surrounded by like-minded people, and Yeah, there you go.
Your video's better, Mark.
Yeah, but I can't say it. I can't put it on YouTube.
It's like Monty Python. I'll tell you, when Mandy and I are going to laugh. Yeah, yeah.
People don't realise that Mother Teresa's his dad.
I know. Mental.
They're like, what? His dad? I'm like, yeah. What? Saint Mother Teresa? Yes.
I mean, even that. I was traveling in India, 2011, 2012. I was over there over the Christmas for 3 months, and I was in Agra. Went to see the Taj Mahal, as you do, and I actually went to a Mother Teresa's orphanage. Oh, it broke my heart. But to give them some money, and I think back now and I just think, oh, fuck, I contributed to.
Well, look, hey, don't beat yourself up. We all did. We all did.
And I was there in that place, and I remember I walked into the one room, and it was full of cots, the little kids' cots.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call them in America, but crib. Yeah. But all the babies in those cots, they'd got just blankets over them, completely over them. And I'm like, what's going on here? And she said, this, nun, whatever. It was just heartbreaking.
It is, but let's be positive, because I'm an apocalyptimist, right? And I think you guys are as well. We don't agree on everything, but that is why it's so important to get together.
It is.
It is.
Right? What I was saying to Matt earlier is, when you get together, the entertainment, it's to let off steam and to be in a room full of people that all know what's going on.
It really is. And it's also therapy for a lot of people, because I was talking about Tom earlier, because he's not surrounded by people like us, and he's kind of having to deal with all this in his own mind, on his own, constantly. So when people go around and they start talking about what he's thinking about, it's like an AA meeting for him. Do you know what I mean? You just thought it flows out of his.
Well, look what it was like, Matt, when we went over there. I mean, he just, he didn't shut up. God bless him.
What's his name again?
Tom.
Hope you're watching this. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah, he's a great bloke. And it was funny because, we took Matt over, and then it turns out that he knew him, which was brilliant. But yeah, I mean, we says to him, oh my God, Tom, you're having you need to offload, keep going. Perhaps we need to come visit him more often, bless him.
Well, this would be great. And, one of the biggest issues has been finding venues that will let you even talk. I mean, I've already I've partaken in a couple of things that got closed down at the last minute because they were terrified of the bad publicity of being associated with white supremacists, which is obviously completely not bonkers. But I'm coming towards the end of this show because I've got to get a plane this afternoon. Okay. Not telling anybody where I'm going, but it's very interesting where I'm going. I thought it might be nice if we could first, maybe I'm going to show everybody the movie trailer for the film that I'm showing. Please come and see it. I'll be there. The director, Kieran, and the editor, Kieran, will be there, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. And I'll also, if anybody watching this has got one of my books and wants it signing, bring that along and I'll sign it, because I'm only saying that because people ask me to do it. I'll also bring a box of books over if anybody wants one. You've got one, haven't you? Did I not give you one?
I've got a book, but you didn't sign it, so I'll sign.
I have pen. Will travel. But also, Matt, is there anything you can show the audience of your work, music, or anything you want to put on now that we could? No,
I'm not that technically minded. God, I mean, I'll just about leave the conversation surely when we're finished. That's about as far as I go with this. But leading on to what you've just said, that you've just reminded me, because a lot of people have asked if I'll be selling my physical copies of my album on the 15th, and I will.
You should.
Because we've got the wonderful Euston turning up. Euston owns the company, Decent London, who do all this. And he's very awake. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. And he's kindly auctioning one of his T-shirts or hoodies, everything, to raise money so we can help some homeless people physically and not send it to a charity, which is amazing. But he'll have a stall there as well.
Does he manufacture clothing? Is that what he does?
He does, yeah. He used to work for a certain designer brand, and he's started up on his own now, doing all this kind of stuff. And
would he make some T-shirts for me?
Yeah, of course he would.
You should have some of those pages made into T-shirts, Mark.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't actually think about stuff like that, though. Some of these pages would make amazing T-shirts, but if you use the print on, it's like this book. I couldn't get this printed by Amazon or anybody.
Wow.
Right? All the print on demand companies, they're all cabal, blah blah blah. But I got my mate runs a printing thing in Northampton, and he said he'd do it. But finding somebody to do the T-shirts with these things on as well would also be quite difficult.
I mean, he's religious, he's very reserved, but I'm sure you'll ignore the language.
Yeah, that's what I said to my mate. I said, "Do you know anybody who doesn't give a shit what they print?" And he went, "Yeah." I said, "Great,
brilliant."
Brilliant. But yeah, no, it's going to be a one. And just don't forget, if people want to come, it's a separate ticket line for each one.
Yeah,
can you put a few? You know, Matt, you said you'd put a few by, because we have took some cash here because people don't want to pay the extra on the.
Of course, no, that's up. I'll put about 50
and if Mark, you can do the same.
No. What I'll say to everybody is that the links are below this video to get tickets to Matt's Knees Up, my film screening. They're all on the same day in the same venue. We start at 1 p.m, finish about 5, and Matt starts at 7 and finishes about 3 in the morning. In Matt's kitchen at 6 a.m.
But I don't want people to say buy tickets for yours, Mark, and just think they can stay.
No. I mean,
we'd love that to happen, but obviously if numbers are rolling, we can't get in there, the capacity, So,
but I mean, it's in Birmingham. It's central. It's central to the UK. It's easy to get to.
There's the fort down the road, the travel lodge. If people want to stay over the hotel, literally 15 minutes down the road, it's easy to as well.
Yeah, and there's links in the sales pages to local accommodation and stuff like that. Please come if you can. But if you're watching this, and most of my audience know this, but if you want to come to my film screening and you genuinely are completely broke, then I'll just let you in. It's not about making money. I've got to pay to hire the equipment and stuff like that. But do come along. Let's just get together and have an amazing time, because I like having fun. Having fun's very, very important.
Well, we certainly need it. That's for sure.
You do. You need
the only place we've been to this year is your Mark in.
The one in
April. Yeah.
That was
great.
And
we went to Tom's gig the month after, which was brilliant as well.
Yeah,
but
it's so good. It's so good to do it, and I'm not doing. I'm not doing a big. I've turned down a lot of gigs recently. I was supposed to be in Nashville doing 2 things recently, but I'm just taking care of business at home and stuff like that. But we're gonna have fun, and that's also bringing that segueing into my movie. That's what that's about as well. It's about fun and celebrating these amazing people, including these guys here. All the people that have stood up in the last 3 years are my heroes. And what I said on the tour in America was that, the reason I did it is because I wanted to meet those people. And that's why I'm doing this thing with Matt and Angie in Birmingham, because, I love Birmingham as well. Love Birmingham. my brother talks like that, so I'm allowed to do it. I'm not taking. I did my first paid comedy gig was in Birmingham. It was at the Bearwood Tavern.
Nice. Used to love it there.
I supported Frank Skinner and John Hegley.
No way. That's amazing.
Yeah. I got 90 quid.
Oh, bless.
I love Frank Skinner. Fantastic.
Oh, Frank, he was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But as a comedian. But anyway, I'm gonna show this trailer for the crack, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's have a look at this.
Brilliant.
There's only a minute.
Oh, very grateful.
Get to the beginning, Mark.
Hello. Look, 2 years ago, I started talking on YouTube about what was really going on in the world. Little did I know that I'd end up on tour in America. Let's go.
You are actually standing in front of me.
We're in the Matrix. It's the most exhausting thing we've ever done.
We've got well over 1,000 rounds a day.
3 hours sleep's killing me, bro.
Guess we ain't in Kansas anymore. And the rain just boom.
It's quite tiring. I might just get a plane home.
There's crazies out there today.
It's just like flying a glider.
Someone sabotaged us.
Just got chills literally up and down.
Twinkle, twinkle, superstar. 53 and I'm here doing this. incomprehensible. I'm very grateful. And I need a fag.
Brilliant.
That looks amazing, mate.
We need one of those tours in this country, Mark.
Well, I would love to organise one, but I need help because it's
Yeah.
about the venues really. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Katie Hopkins and what happened to that radio? The guy was fighting the BBC. I can't remember his bloody name now. I was watching him.
Russell,
the one who got arrested.
Brand.
No, the one that Katie Hopkins was touring with, and he was arrested apparently. But I've not seen him in ages, so I've forgotten his bloody name.
I don't know.
Oh, the short red hair guy, really.
Oh, I know you're on a bit.
From Nottingham area.
Yes, yeah, no, he's still inside.
Is he?
Yeah,
that's shocking.
Yeah,
wow,
it is.
Yeah.
I've heard news that there is. I can't say too much because I do know people that know him. New evidence that come to light. So that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. Yeah, good evidence as well. Yeah.
Well, you know that everything's. I'm going to end on this. Really, everything is a test for you. I'm talking to the audience. Is a personal test for you, including.
Fine, I don't know what it is.
That was a test as well. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. Go on. Everything is a test for everybody.
It is. You know, and having fun is the most important thing you can do, even in the middle of the madness. And please come along to Birmingham. It'll be great. I'm going to bring my mum along, hopefully, to say hello. And it'd be great to see you guys. I've never met Matt, so it's going to be great to see Matt, but great to see Angie and Mandy and everybody else that's coming. I'll also, unfortunately, probably going to see you next 2 weeks for Mike's funeral as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's in 2 weeks, is it?
Yeah, I'll be coming over for that, and we'll give him a good send off because what a great guy. I'm going to dedicate the film to him if I can get that edited in. But great, thanks for joining me today, guys. God bless you both.
Thanks for having me. Well, finally got in.
Well done. And you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Yes,
you too. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Paula. Bye.
Bye.